All right. Hello, everyone. Good to see you guys. It's our interview today with a super special guest. Jim, hello. We're super excited to see you today. Thanks so much for joining and finding time in your crazy schedule. Okay. So, hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Tanya. It's always a pleasure to be with you and your people because you're really amazing. You are one of my dearest friends on the planet. So
Thank you so much. Same here. Same here. You know that. So, yeah, I mean, first question I gotta ask, how did you celebrate your wife's birthday? I mean, I
oh
saw some
man.
pictures. Yeah, go ahead.
We had a bunch of people at this our favorite restaurant and our kids were there and a bunch of kids and adults. So it was really like 25 people just, having fun. So she was totally happy. That was on her birthday night, which was July 10th. And then 2 nights later, I took her to see authentic flamenco dancing. So a team from Spain came in this old 120-year-old theater. And she was like, oh, and then I went to her favorite restaurant and she had a steak and chocolate cake. So yeah,
Nice,
we're good.
nice.
She's
Well,
happy.
that's amazing. You guys have amazing family. You know, I always, when I think about like example of a family, I'm always thinking about you.
Uh, Thank you very much. We're very lucky and very happy.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, excellent. So Jim, today it's going to be an interview. You know, my guys are people who actually, interested in how to live a more successful life. You know, how to explore new opportunities, how to stay on purpose, how to achieve your goals. I mean, mostly with, we all learn English, which is an international language, but it's a key, right? It's a key to opening doors.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why the subject we're going to be talking about today is actually how to overcome difficulties. So, difficulties in business, difficulties in life. So, yeah, and you guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask these questions in the chat. I'll make sure I'll pass them to Jim. But otherwise, I got some very nice questions prepared for you, and if you're ready, I am.
I'm ready. You always have the best questions too, trust me.
Well, thank you, thank you. You know, I take my time. So I'm like, what would I ask specifically from, from Jim? What piece of what do you guys call it? Pick somebody's brain, right? Like
Yeah,
this is
pick
the
someone's brain.
yeah, exactly. Pick someone's brain. So let's pick your brain today, Jim. With yeah, before we actually go into questions, I think it's very important for my audience to see about your expertise. Like, what could you share about yourself, like your experience in business, your experience in like in life itself, so we could speak in a context of your achievements already. You know, which is I think very important that we study from people who actually made it and keep making it.
Well, I think it's important, especially for younger people. My sons are going through this now, but when I was 17, I was like, I'm going to be a nuclear engineer and light up the world. And when I was 17, and I meant it. I mean, I was excited. And I went into the US Navy. I learned how to be a nuclear engineer. I drove submarines. I spent 5 years in the Navy, 9 years of my life to be a nuclear engineer, 9 years, almost a decade. And then I was 28 years old. And I was like, I hate this. Like the job of being a nuclear engineer was so boring and so bad that I was 28 years old and I don't want to get out of bed. I couldn't I like to get out of bed was misery and work for the government to build submarines. And I was like, I have to change my life. And literally a friend of mine said, come selling with me. And I was like, no, salesmen are liars. And he goes, no, no, no. Look at if you sell a good product and you really believe it. I was like, well, I never thought of that. I said, okay, I'll try it. I went to sell door to door, had so much fun because I love people and I love to help people and I love to talk to people. So, like, you knock on a door, you never know what you're going to get. It could be a nice old lady, it could be a guy with a knife. I saw everything. I was like, oh my God, what an exciting life. And I tell you, since that point, I was about 29 years old. So it's been a couple decades at least. I have always been excited to get out of bed. I love my life. Now, when I started my company, which is a sales company 25 years ago, I was like, oh, I was a really good salesman, but I kept making the owner a lot of money. Like me personally, like I was most of the sales of the company. And I go, and they kept cutting my pay. I said, why would you cut my pay? I'm the most successful. Well, we need to pay for the other guys. I go, nah, that doesn't work for me. So I quit. And I did this a couple of times where I made the owner a lot of money. And I said, oh, I have to be the owner. By then I was 38 years old and I'm going, okay, it's never too late. So here, key point, it's never too late to follow your dream. So I'm 63 years old and I'm still creating new things to do. Okay, so now the reality of life, you have a dream, you go, wow. And then reality of life hits. Okay, you got to pay bills. You want to start a company, you got to get licenses and you got to have taxes and you got to have an accountant and wow, you're like, okay, this is why owners sometimes look a little older because they, and I said, okay, good. I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to, anyway, the main point is in your journey of life, don't ever think that because you're at a bad point right now or you've been doing something you don't like for a while, don't ever think you can't change because you can change.
Yeah.
You can come up with a new dream. Don, you and I have done a lot of successful things in the time we've known each other, which is a long time now. But I think back to the day when you're going to start your company. I'm going, what a great idea. And it was the beginning of a very successful, what you're doing to help. And both of us help people.
Right.
That's part of our life. I help people save money and be more efficient for their business and put more money in their pocket. So I know I'm making owners of businesses happy. So that's my job, is to make people happy. Your job is to make people happy, really.
Exactly. We just chose our specific fields, to make sure we do it every day, right?
Yeah, because you're really good at translating from one language to another and not lose the concepts, right? The real concepts.
Right.
And so it's amazing. So anyway, I hope that answered your question. So
Yeah, absolutely, it did. It did. And actually, build the ground for my first question for you today, since today we're speaking about, how to actually make it and how to overcome difficulties on the way. So could you share a significant challenge, like one of the first significant challenges when you were 38 years old and you decided to open your own business, what was your first significant challenge, which probably if you would give up at that point and you were thinking maybe about giving up, but because you didn't, you actually pushed through and you succeeded. And which lesson did it teach you at that point?
Well, first of all, I had learned this business as a sales manager working for somebody else. So I learned the business. So I really knew the actual business of energy sales. And we sell electricity and natural gas to business owners. And we're brokers. I don't have electricity. I don't have natural gas. I just broker deals between the people who do have it and those who need it. So I'm really just a broker. And but I got good at it. And then I said, okay, good. And then I had an investor. I said, put up some money. He goes, okay. He was a millionaire. And I said, I'll make you millions of dollars. He goes, okay. So I start off and we sold for these energy companies. And so I got an energy company, got a contract. He said, go for it. We'll pay you for every customer you bring us, we'll pay you X amount of dollars. I said, okay. I hired 10 people. We make sales for 2 weeks. We start doing really well. We start making a lot of sales. And the customer calls me and says, we changed our mind. Now, this is $1 billion company. A lot of lawyers, a lot of money. And he says, we're not going to continue and we're not going to pay you for what you already gave us. Okay, well, that's illegal. I mean, I could have hired a lawyer to fight them, but then I would have used all the rest of the investment money. So I was like, oh my God. So I fired the 10 people. I said, okay, go home. I paid them. I paid the people. I always paid the people because but it was from the investment money. So I paid the people and I went, okay, now I got to find a real client who can pay me. So I go and I'm making phone calls and emails and faxes and talking to hundreds of people. And the guy goes, okay, yeah, let's do it. I found that next customer in like 2 or 3 days. So I hire the 10 guys back. Okay, I got another job. Come back, come back. And they go, okay. So they come back. We make sales for 2 weeks. We're getting sales. We're just starting to take off. And the guy calls me and says, another $1 billion company. He goes, we changed our mind. We don't like this program. And I'm gonna, so I fired the 10 people. I looked at how much money now did I spend. It was like, $20,000 of my investment. I'm going, okay, I got to be careful now. I need to get another one and it's got to be real. And I'm telling you, my wife is brand new baby. My wife goes, is everything going to be okay? And I go, honey, don't worry. Just stay home. I'm going to make it work. And so phone calls, emails. I mean, the key to success is you have to be willing to reach out and touch a lot of people. You got to be willing to do this. If you're not willing to reach out and touch people, then you can't have a business. I'm sorry. I mean, Tanya, you reach out and touch a lot of people, right? So but I just had a list of like 100 potential companies. So I had to call those companies over and over again and find a different person. And finally, a guy calls me from New York and he says, I'm interested. And I'm thinking to myself, God, please make this real. This is the third time now. I failed twice in 4 weeks. So this is the third chance. And I flew to New York, lawyers, 10 lawyers. And this guy was really short. So it's kind of like he's at the end of the table. I go, he's a little tiny guy, but he was a nice guy. I mean, he seemed nice. And I said, okay, so the lawyers approved the contract. Now I got all these lawyers. I said, it must be real. And this guy and I became best friends because I hired the 10 people back again, the same 10 people. They trust me. Go, Jim, you keep paying us, so we trust you. I said, I'll pay you. Come in. Boom. The first week was so good. The sales of the first week were so good that people just started coming in. I want to work here. I want to work here. And I had to get a room that held 100 people, 100 phone salesmen. I filled the room in 4 weeks. I hired 100 people in 4 weeks. And we went off. And what happened was after the second week, we had like 20 or 30 people. He sends money to my bank and he calls me, he says, this is awesome. I really love what you're doing. And I had given him the ability to listen to my salespeople live. He would just call, and he was like the CEO of the company. He wasn't like a vice president. He was the guy. It was his responsibility. So he was calling in and listening. He goes, you're calling New York. It's a tough crowd. He says, I love it. I love your guys are actually nice. Even when our New Yorkers are bad people and they're assholes. He goes, they're still nice to them. How do you do that? I said, well, that's what we do, He goes, okay, ramp it up. Give me as many customers as you can do. And I took it from 0 to 2,500 customers a week. I was like, oh my God. Now remember, every story though, we ramped it up. We killed it. I paid back my investor all the money and we started making lots of money every week. And 3 months later, the same guy who loved me says, listen, we got a little problem. You gave us too many customers. I need you to stop now. And I went, and now because I was so busy, I didn't go get another client. So I said, can you give me 2 weeks? He goes, yeah, okay, I'll give you 2 weeks, but then you got to stop. I said, okay, I'm on the phone. I'm calling every other energy company. I'm doing 2,500 sales a week. Do you want some? Do you want some of this? And people are going, and one guy goes, well, we want to fly out and see it. So they fly out, they see, and they go, okay, you're hired. So then I brought them 5 million customers over 4 years. So even when the first one was great, so when you're following your dream and you're going on the path, shit happens. It's a crazy planet. There's governments. Governments change their laws. People who look nice turn mean. Shit happens. You have to be willing to play hard on the game, but be ready for anything. It's like you got to have the ability to be ready for anything. Like right now, 25 years later, we don't know what's going on. The markets are funny. Our sales are tough. And I'm running around telling the guys, nope, just it's your mindset. No matter how bad it is right now, it's going to get better. And so I have to go pump life into my salespeople. Even 25 years later, it's not automatic. This is your creation. Like if you stop doing your successful actions, Tanya, right now, what would happen to your company?
Well, definitely the results will go down. Yeah, yeah.
So but there's changes. You guys you and Laurent have had a change. You've changed things.
Absolutely.
Google changes how they let you market every month. So again, be willing to have shit happen. Don't give up. Don't quit. I've never quit in 25 years. And there's been days when I thought, God has forgotten me. You know, he just forgot I existed.
So Jim, let's talk about these days, because these days are the hardest. Obviously, this is very easy to say that, okay, we just need to continue and whatever, and it's totally real to me. But sometimes it's just so hard to remind yourself, like, oh my God, this is the time. I cannot, like, it's just, okay, so in this specific days when it's really, really bad, what is your routine or what is your successful action? What do you do to actually bring yourself up? Anything you can share?
Yeah, one of the most important things is you need a friend, a true friend. Now, I'm lucky because that's my wife who's been with me through hell and high water. You know, Fame's been with me through everything, you know, and luckily she's a true friend. Like sometimes you have a friend and then you find out when times get tough, they're not really your friend. So you need a true friend, because that's the person you can go home to night. You can even cry. You go, this was the worst day. Tell me I'm going to be okay. And then they go, you're going to be fine. And I go, okay, good now. And then I gear back up. So having a true friend, and then two, looking at motivational stories, you know, and every big guy, Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan, you know, JD Vance, all these famous people, go back and see their story.
Yeah.
But JD Vance, who just got picked to be the vice president for Donald Trump, the guy, he wrote a book called a Hillbilly's Elegy, which is kind of like the story of a hillbilly, a guy from Ohio, poor, drugs. Go read that story. He went through hell and came out and became very, very successful in business and as a lawyer. And now he's looking at being a vice president. And I said, well, I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't really care about politics. My point is this guy had nothing and he turned his life into a dream. So anybody can do this. So you have it in you. You have everything in you. Just make sure you pick the right people to have around you.
Excellent, excellent. I love it. So, okay, very good. So I have a question from a chat from Galia. So basically she's asking, how do you overcome the difficulties, which we kind of answered already that question, right? But what's important, and I want to align this question to something else, it's basically like, what is your routine on a daily basis to make sure that your attention never goes off the target, like the goal? It's actually something me and you were discussing just before we started the interview, right? Like how important that is to actually never, ever, no matter what is happening, to forget why you're working on what. Okay, excellent. So let's go.
At the top of my piece of paper are my goals for the company. So, I mean, even though I know what they are, because I know what it is every day, I still write it down. And then I write down these vital things that I have to do to help restore us to greatness, because I've now survived 27 different life-threatening, earth-changing bad things in 25 years. It was at least one thing a year, at least, probably two, maybe 50 things I've survived that you think, oh, that's it. I mean, give it up. The laws change, the government, at least 50 times I've hit those points. And I go, nah, this is all temporary. I just have to go back and do my successful actions that will get me to my goal. It doesn't mean it's easy, but the other key thing is you have your own set of things that you have done right when things were good. And this is why when things are good, you need to write down, okay, what did I do exactly? Okay, I made 107 phone calls. I sent emails out to this special list. I met a new friend who's in the industry. Oh, and I did some good stuff. Okay, those are your successful actions. And if you don't have a successful action list to fall back on when things go wrong, you might forget one or two important steps. It's so interesting. I just spotted one yesterday. I literally, oh my God. What I normally do, I wasn't doing for the last 6 weeks. And I was like, like myself, boom, Jimbo, you have more experience than anybody else. How could you forget? Well, life comes at you hard sometimes. You get hit, you get knocked down. It's knowing to have these lists are important because there's a lot of things going on in our brain sometimes. You and I, Tanya, you and I have been through some wickedly wild times, just even on some of the adventures we've done, in other countries where we've been together going, oh my God. And we go in and we always fixed it. We always went in with a smile and that's it. Even if you feel bad, force yourself to smile, look at your successful actions and know that you can do it and that you can fix it. You have to start here in your heart that you can do it and believe in yourself. And again, if you need help, grab your buddy. Can you tell me that I'm going to make it? Yeah. Okay, good. I got it. I'm fine.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm picking up from your answer is it's very important to have this attitude that you're going to make it anyway, like that, like you're going to fix it, you're going to make it, you're going to succeed, like not to change this basic decision, which, the rest of your actions and decisions are based on. Is that right?
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
And that's part of your goal making process. If your goal is something that makes you excited, that's important. If you have a goal and it doesn't make you excited and you're like, okay, I mean, I kind of like it. I kind of want to do it. It's not going to pull you through the tough times. You got to be on fire that what you are doing is what you really, truly want to do. And that's where most people kind of they go, well, I guess this is good enough. It's good enough, the job or whatever my position.
Right.
I'll survive somehow. Boy, it's tough to get through the hard times when you don't have the passion for what you love. Like I know, Tanya, you love doing what you do. I mean, you have 100,000 success stories now of people you've helped, whether in their business or whatever, by helping them communicate more in another language, and by helping people understand another language. They go, Tanya, I got a new job. I got this, I got that. And you go, oh, that's why I'm alive, is to help people.
Exactly. Okay, good. So so we're speaking about overcoming difficulties, right? Like, and it's not only for entrepreneurs, which is very important to understand that difficulties is a part of the business. It is a part of the business for sure. But also, like when I deal with this all the time, let's say people come to work for me or something like that, and they come work in sales. And they make like first 10 calls and they're like, oh no, sales is not for me, or blah, blah, blah is not for me. Why? Because they basically see rejection. They are not seeing results. So what would you advise to, in this kind of circumstance, when a person starts a new job and not seeing results, or maybe it's sales, maybe it's something else. So what would be like 3 key points you would recommend when starting something new, how to, get to getting results as fast as possible?
Okay, number 1 is find out who's the best in that company or in that field. Sometimes you can find out who's the best real estate salesperson, okay, and read a book about them or go to a YouTube video or see, and look at it, okay, and then try to figure out, if you can, what is their successful actions. Sometimes it's obvious what their successful action is. Sometimes it's like, I don't know, she's always smiling. no matter what, how can she do that? I don't, okay, just try it. Okay. I mean, sometimes you got to fake it a little bit until you're, so number one, find the best person or the best couple of people and see what are they doing, either in the company that you're at, and just say, listen, I'm brand new. I don't know anything. And this is a true story. I went to my first submarine and I was a new officer. And so, when you're a baby officer, the enlisted guys who've been on the submarine for 25 years, they go, oh, it's another baby officer. He doesn't know anything and he's going to be my boss. So I went to the most senior enlisted guy in the submarine, 25 years in the Navy, all submarines. And I said, Chief, I don't know anything. And I will listen to you and I will take advice from you and I will do whatever you say. And I did that in the first 2 hours when I got on the submarine. I found him in the submarine and told him, I'm brand new. Yes, I went to the Naval Academy. I will do whatever you tell me. And he looked at me, he goes, are you messing with me, boy? And I looked, I said, I had a good daddy. My daddy taught me right. And he said, go find the guy who knows the most and learn from him. And I said, I assume you know more than the captain about this submarine. And he goes, well, I do. I said, good. Then I will listen to you. Whatever you say, I'll do it. He took care of me and I learned my job really fast because it's not easy in the submarine. I mean, that's one of the toughest things I've ever done in my life. And I'm glad I did it. Don't want to do it again. But it taught me the valuable lesson is you get to a new place. You don't know any. So you got to find out. So find out from the best. Don't listen to the negative people sitting next to you who are not successful. They are not the ones you learn from. It seems common sense, but people do. They go, how are you doing? Oh, I suck. This place, I don't think I want to be here. Oh, I don't really?
Right.
How long you been here? 3 weeks. 3 weeks and you still suck? Oh, there's no hope for me. No, go to the best guy. What did you do? How did you start off? My best guy in my company has been with me for 20 years. And the first day he came in, he looked around, he saw what some people are doing. He did that, he tweaked it, and the guy was successful on the first day.
Wow.
It's possible. I'm not saying it's always true, but it is possible if you get the right person who knows how to do what you want to do. And you just go, okay, let me try that, and that. And you go, and you're a new guy, and the people going, oh, you think you're hot because you're new and you already got a sale. I just listen to I listen to the best. I'm not listening to you. You haven't got a sale and you've been here 3 weeks. Now, don't be rude to people, but don't listen to them.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so basically study all the time and study from people who actually succeeded already and has been successful. So that's the bottom line, and for sure, great advice, great piece of advice. Okay, good, Jim. So you actually made me thinking about something which I'd like to bring up. I think for my personal attitude to how to handle difficulties is to be optimistic, like no matter what. Like optimism is actually a very, very important trait in anything you do. So, and I know in English there is this amazing saying, which I love, fake it until you make it. It's, I mean, I find it very true. Because I mean, people ask me all the time, like, how do I stay optimistic all the time? And the true answer is I'm not. I'm just actually sometimes I'm not feeling optimistic at all, but I need to fake it to actually go through the difficulty. Because I mean, come on, if I will be pessimistic with people around me, am I actually going towards the goal, or I'm destructing whatever I'm working on? You see?
Right.
So what is your viewpoint on that?
Well, remember, you got those moments like, I've had a few moments the last few weeks where I'm like, I'm at home by myself, and never show people doubt, never show people negativity or pessimism, but you're going to feel it. So you got to acknowledge, like, man, this is overwhelming. Like, I'm I'm hyperventilating, but I'm at home. And even my wife, I don't show my wife when I'm really like, because, even she's Superwoman, but she's still my wife. So she'll go, oh my God, are we okay? everything's fine. Everything's cool. But I'll be like, by myself, I'm going, okay. I go in tomorrow morning, be smiling to everybody, tell them it's all going to work out and they're going to make a lot of sales. We're going to make a lot of sales this week. And that's what we're going to do, and period. And you guys just got to talk to a lot of people. And then they see me come in and I don't look angry. I don't look, I mean, I'll admit in my sales meeting yesterday, I go, okay, you guys have got to quit screwing around. I need you to call more. And they're like, Jim never does that. But I was like, I was stressing the night before. I mean, in my own dreams, I'm going, I got to handle this. So recognize that you're going to feel bad sometimes. Don't say, well, I can't feel bad. No, you do feel bad. Now, how do I present to the world? I can handle everything. I'm going to handle everything. I will handle everything. I walk in the office. Okay, guys, let's kick some ass. Let's talk about this. We got to call Hal. I got to do this. Let's do the successful actions. And they go, okay, he's confident. He's firm. He's not worried. So I'm not going to worry. So if I worry, they're worried. I'm the enemy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if the boss is worried, so what's going to happen to the rest of the team, right? And also emotions are super contagious, like
yes, good ones and bad ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything's contagious.
Totally. If you are enthusiastic, I mean, people around you are going to be enthusiastic as well. If you are angry, people will get into fear, I think, after talking to you, right? So, yeah, what about you guys? Do you agree? Put yes in the chat if you agree that emotions are contagious. Okay, they definitely are. They definitely are. I mean, yeah. I've seen over and over and over again. Okay, good. So, Jim, that's an important point. So, I mean, how can you exercise that? How can you exercise being optimistic? Because I mean, sometimes it's really, really difficult. And I mean, in my family, like between myself and my husband, we also try not to be pessimistic on each other. I mean, it happens, but very, very often, and we help each other to actually go back up. Right. But what can you do, like small tips if you don't feel like, you don't feel optimistic? So what things you can do, maybe 10-15 minutes to actually get yourself up?
30 years ago, when you didn't have the internet, you had to go find a book. Now I have on my shelf is a bunch of books from very, very successful people and motivators. And I used to pull the book down and read it, and I'd go, oh, and I'd read like a paragraph and I go, he had the same problem I did. And look, he won. Okay, good. I just need to know that somebody else feels as bad as I do this moment. And then they were successful. And I'm like, that's all I need. I'm telling you, 15 minutes. But now you have YouTube. Just look up massive success stories, or wins in life. And it's overwhelming how much, and then be selective and pick someone that you can relate to. And I'll tell you, 5-10 minutes, you're going, oh, that's a great, I can do that. You literally run out the door to go apply what you just saw on a YouTube video. You guys, success is contagious. Failure is contagious. You have to choose what motivation you're going to pick. And if you listen to negative people talk about their failures, you're going to feel bad. So choose to find people who made it, who are successful, and who are doing something. You can find success stories in every industry. No matter what you're doing, you can find it on YouTube now. Who's really good at making socks? Like, who cares about socks? Okay, sock manufacturer in Ohio is, they give food to poor kids and they're making more money than they ever made, and they just make socks. Yeah, we wear socks every day. Somebody's making socks and he's making millions and millions of dollars making socks. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what you do. You can find an example somewhere of somebody who's been wildly successful. And when you look at their information, you go, oh, I never thought of doing that. Boom, automatically you're happier.
Yeah. Amazing. So getting knowledge, getting motivation. That was my next question. How do you get your motivation up? Because I have a question from a chat from Dalia. Jim, you're a super positive person I've ever seen. Like the most positive person I've ever seen, right? So yeah, how do you do it? How do you keep your drive and motivation up, like all the time, no matter what?
Well, I mean, I have friends like you around the world. I mean, people I love and adore and really, and then I have in my company, my top 5 people have been with me for over 20 years. And, you know, we keep each other pumped up. Again, this world is tough. This planet is crazy. If you think you're going to be successful all by yourself, it's really not a single sport. You know, winning on this planet is a team sport. And you have, look at, I've learned the hard way. I've had people I trusted that really were trying to cut my throat, and I didn't recognize it at first. Like sometimes they're not literally coming at you with a knife, but by the time they're done, you feel like you've been through a war and you're going, I don't even know what it is, until you finally find the truth and you find out what a person really says about you, and you go, oh my God, I thought they were my best friend. They're not my best friend. You got to get those leeches, those vampires out of your life. And then you got to find the true team. The true team are people that think alike. And I don't care what your beliefs are. You find 5 or 6 people with similar beliefs, you're going to have a team. I don't have to agree with everybody on earth. That's not the point. I can try to help everybody on earth, you know, and I'll fail on some small percentage. You know, I can't help 20% of the people, but I can help 80% of the people. Okay, good. I'll focus on the 80%. But it's a team sport. Life is a team sport. It's like, that's why the family, and I know a lot of people are saying, Jim, help me get a wife, help me get a husband. I'm like, okay, well, let's work on you. You know, find the positive, start hanging out with positive people, and then you're going to find someone who thinks like you. And then you go, oh, buddy, you know, and that's like a husband and wife is a true team. A relationship should be a true team. And honestly, sometimes, you know, like I've had my sons have gone through their difficulties in relationship, and I just say, well, you got to find someone who totally aligns with your goals. And when you do that, it's easy to be a team together because you agree. So don't find someone you disagree with on everything and think, oh, good, it's a perfect relationship. We don't agree on anything. That's a bad idea.
Well, there is a whole tendency like opposites attract or something like that, you know? So I
Yeah, but
totally
little
agree
things,
with
but
that.
not beliefs. Like my wife doesn't like to speak on stage. My wife is the quiet one who's at the parties, and she's having all these, you know, quiet conversations one-on-one. Me, I'll talk to the whole party. So we're opposite that way, but we're talking about the same thing. How can we help the kids in South Africa? And we get a bunch of people to help us help the kids in South Africa. Whatever thing project we're working on, she does it her way, which is mine's loud and noisy way. Hers is the quiet way, mine, but we have the same purpose. See, so that's the goals and the purposes have to be aligned. How you get there sometimes is, for me and I take different roads to get to the same point. But we help each other all the time.
Totally. Amazing, Jim. So I guess it brings me to my last question for today. Which is gonna be, so if you gave yourself, you know, when you gave yourself a piece of advice when you started off in life, you know, when you were young guy, you know, just starting your path, what would it be?
Well, I would say to myself that don't let anybody stop you from reaching for your dreams. Just don't let anybody stop you. And really, as early as you can, find your true friends. And the true friends are the ones who always tell you the truth, who are always have your back. And when things are tough, they're there pulling you out of the mud and saying, let's go. So you got to find your true team. And I think the sooner you find your true team, and a true team is the one who's always with you, not the one who pretends to be with you. And that's where you got to, hardest thing in life. And then also, when you do get a bad person and you've had a bad experience, don't hate anybody. Everybody's got their own problems, but just be willing to keep that person out of your life. It's okay. It's okay to let the vampire go somewhere else. Go hurt somebody else, not me. Maybe go find another vampire. You guys can take care of each other. Don't be afraid to push them out of your life. But meantime, don't think that everybody's like a vampire, because it's 80% of the people around you are potential good teammates. Only 20% are trying to suck the life out of you. So it's pretty good odds. You're just, you can find the positive ones. You have to look for them. Anyway, that's my advice, because don't give up on your dream. And if you have a bad situation, learn from it. Learn from it and go, oh, okay, can't have that person in my life. Good, let's go over here.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I think that all the bad experience is still an experience you can learn from.
It's a learning.
It's actually, yeah, it's a learning. Sometimes it's very expensive learning, but
Yes.
it's a learning path. Like sometimes, I'm sure if everybody can observe their way, in life, would find that actually something bad which happened eventually led to something good.
Yes.
And if it didn't, and you see what I'm saying, right? So,
oh yeah.
So
bad experiences lead to good opportunities. Exactly.
Say again.
Bad experiences can lead the way to good opportunities, and you just have to handle the bad and put it aside. And if you find there's a bad person in your life, you just got to let them out. You don't have to fight them. Just let them out of your life.
Yeah. And set up some kind of a rule to see in the future, so you don't get yourself in these kind of situations. Exactly. This way you build your foundation for success. Wow, Jim, amazing. So I see some comments. Jim, amazing talk. Thanks a lot. That's awesome. So before we end today, Jim, so we spoke a lot about motivation today, that learning from successful people actually brings your tone level up. You become more optimistic and stuff like that. So you have an amazing YouTube channel. How often do you post there?
Well, not enough, but I took a couple weeks off, but we will post there often. And my goal is to create this Millionaires Club. So we're still building it. I got to handle my energy company to make sure it's all growing right. And then for the Millionaires Club would be really nice to have this going, because I'd like to have people having a constant stream of motivation and a reminder, you are amazing. You are. You just have to find your amazingness and let it shine.
Exactly. So we'll make sure, guys, to post the link to Jim's channel and Jim's 2 amazing books, okay, which you could read and use as a source of motivation, because it's super simple. And the best ideas are always the simplest ideas. I do believe that. So I really appreciate, Jim, all your, input and your help. And, no matter how busy you are, you're still out there, you're still helping people. And I think, you named it. That's what we do. We help people. So let's continue to help them even more. And before we end off, anything you'd like to say?
Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate everything you do. And I know that your followers and all your students are wonderful people. And I've had some really cool people that you've met, have written to me and have been friends with me on Instagram and stuff and Facebook. And I appreciate the friendship around the world. I appreciate the fact that I can go anywhere in the world and find someone who would welcome me. So, that's always fun too.
Yeah, Jim, thank you so much for your time. And I hope to see you on our lives in the next weeks.
Okay, good.
I think I've used like 30% of my questions, but
well, good, we get more questions.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Jim, and have a great day. And,
thank you, guys. Have a good one.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah. All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining in today. I think it was very, very beneficial and useful. At least myself, I took several points which I'm going to reinforce and use. And so guys, as you see, English gives you so much. You can learn in English, you can, meet people, you can find sources of motivation in English. It can be your tool in life. So if you need to improve your English to go to the next level, just make sure that, you press the link we have in the chat and go ahead and contact one of my team members, and we're going to help you, achieve your dreams and goals with English. And stay connected, guys. Be with us. We're definitely helping you to keep your motivation with English up, okay? Because it's a long-term goal, and not to make any difficulties or hiccups on the way to stop you, all right? Thank you so much. Have a nice evening, everyone, and see you later, okay?